Well, tonight in the podcast, ladies and gentlemen, they're still discussing the election. And the reason why they're still discussing the election, especially with black men, is because black men in particular did something that they didn't really see black men doing. So there was an interview with a Tanisha Sullivan with the NAACP out of Boston. And they just questioning her about black men and even the way we vote. But it's a reason why they're doing that. Let's go ahead and check that out.
Democrat to Republican slipped from 84% to 67%, driven by desertion of black men. Why? What's going on?
I think one of the things that is important to know about this last presidential election is that so many people, through their vote, express deep concern about really the bread and butter issues. Really being able to make ends meet, being able to pay the rent, being able to buy eggs, being able to buy gas, being able to have a one job that is life-sustaining, and through their votes, really had their voices heard about the change that they wanted to see, not just in the White House, I would say, but across government. People want to know that government is working for them. That said, I think it's also important to recognize that black people are not a monolith. And so if there's anything that we can declare coming out of this election is that that is, in fact, the case. Black people are not a monolith, and in many respects represent a diversity of political ideology and perspective, and are not bound to any one political party.
Does this dictate changes or rethinking of what you do and your organization's mission? For instance, does it mean less emphasis on police reform and other crime-related issues that are controversial, where there's some potentially some rightward drift in the electorate?
I think it's important to understand that what we saw, and certainly I think some of the data coming out of the election, is that economics really rose to the top of the list, the top of the priority list for many voters. That does not mean that people are not concerned about public safety. That does not mean that black people or anyone is not concerned about racism and racial discrimination, nor does it mean that we have succeeded in eliminating racism. There is not a black person walking the streets, dare I say, who wants to be subject to racial profiling on any level. And so this election should not be an indication that for the NAACP or for any civil rights organizations that our work is changing. What it may mean is that the ways in which we go about advancing racial equality, fighting against racism, the tactics may change.
So I want you to pay attention to that reporter. You notice how he was focusing more on, y'all gonna be talking about racism because you shift more right. Why, when you have a shift to the right, people gotta stop talking about the human rights? Because talking about racism, you're talking about human rights. Human rights, you're talking about the civil rights, we're talking about our economic freedom, we're talking about black empowerment. That's never gonna change. It don't matter if it's a left shift, right shift, center shift, it don't matter what it is. We have to as FBAs to continue to fight for our community, because who else is going to fight for them? Nobody. Nobody's going to fight for us. Number two, what makes them nervous is black people getting out of the default setting. We talk about this default setting. It's like a computer, right? On every computer, there's a default setting, and sometimes the default setting is not the best setting. So you go in and you change the settings to make some things run better and more efficient. But if you keep it at default setting, your computer may not even operate at its potential. So us being at the default setting in America, voting Democrats and doing what we doing, right, it's keeping us at the bottom. It's keeping us oppressed. It's keeping us not be able to prosper as we should as black Americans. So it would be better for our community to get out of the default setting. The sister said that we're not a monolith. That's true. We're not all the same. And that's okay that we're not all the same. But we should be a monolith on black empowerment. We should be a monolith on, supporting our children, and helping them get to the future where they need to be. We should be a monolith on supporting our, education. We should be a monolith on, definitely fighting against anti-black racism, no matter where it comes at. There's a lot of things that we should be a monolith about. Now we can say music, food, whatever the case may be. Okay, we're not a monolith. I get it. I hear it 2,000%. I'm with it. But with that being said, some things we just be a monolith about. Now, with us getting out of the default setting is making people nervous. And this is what I will tell black people. I don't want you to go from the Democrats to the Republicans, because I don't want the Republicans to be like, well, we ain't got to do nothing for you because the Democrats, you voted for them 60 years and they ain't do nothing for you. So you don't want them saying that and you just have you there running off at your mouth, right? I mean, we don't need to be seeing y'all over there doing the Trump dance. We don't need to see y'all doing a golf swing like Trump. We don't need to see that, right? That makes you like you following his cult or something. I mean, no, Trump is not that inspirational to be copying his dance. Sorry. It's not. He can't even dance. Now, I understand that you were copying Chris Brown. He could dance, right? But Trump, no. That is the most male thing that you can do. That's definitely number one. Number two, we want to be politically independent, because with political independence, nobody knows what you're going to do. You're going to vote Democrat, go Republican. We only vote our interest. That's it. And a lot of black men understanding that. We vote our interest, and a lot of our interest was not with the Democrat Party because they was anti a black man for sure. That's how they get down. And they going to have to reassess their whole party and see if they want to start over again, and they want to be respectful to black men. And all those black men like Bakari Sellers, Boulay Martin, and all of them, that's not the men we're going to listen to. Because these men, all this crying, Van Jones, man, nobody care about that. The sass, the crying, the buck broken stuff, that's just not going to get it with black men. It's not. And that's a beautiful thing, because we should be men. At the end of the day, we should be strong men. Now, the folks are a little nervous about the way we're voting. And I think it's going to get even more unsure for them in 2028 and so on, because we got to have something. The civil rights generation got theirs, right? We need ours. We need an anti-black hate crime bill. We need reparations, just at minimum. We got to have some black empowerment. We can't sit here and watch immigrants come in this country, people even come in illegally and getting above black Americans. No. So we got to say something. A lot of black Americans voted for Trump because of the immigration issue. It's not that they like Trump like that. It's not that they like Republicans like that. But they realize the immigration issue is harming the black community. So they say, hey, man, come on, ICE. That's what a lot of black Americans, are saying. And rightfully so. So you notice how they always worry about our votes? They didn't talk about the Hispanic vote like that. They talk about it a little bit, but they didn't talk about it like they said after the election. We're almost getting to we halfway in December, almost to January. And they still talking about the election and what black people doing. You ain't talking about the white vote, the Asian vote, the Hispanic vote, just the black vote. It's like you would think we would be the number 2 non-white group in here, or the number 1 non-white group, and we're not. Yeah, we always talk. That's why I say they don't accurately count our numbers, because if they did, they know we are a lot larger than the numbers that they put down on paper. We're either 20 million more or 30 million more. They just don't count us. They don't. Because why you were so worried about the black vote? Let's think about it. Why are you worried for people that's 14% of the population? Hispanics outnumber black people on paper, right? But yet they're not worried about their votes like they worry about ours. Makes you